Aloha, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation. And my guest today is Corey Lyon Folsom. He is a certified Tantra educator, NLP practitioner, and relationship coach who assists persons from all over the world to increase their connection and clarity. Corey is also the author of Soul Statements, a love coach's guide to successful communication, which was voted Best Communication Book of the Year by the Best Holistic Life magazine. I'm reading your bio, so this is a brief bio, Corey. The full bio will be at the end. The question that I always begin these conversations is a fundamental one. How would you introduce yourself? Who is Corey as of this moment?
Uh, I am a father, an author, a husband, a son. I
Mm.
am a seeker. I am someone who thrives in deep conversations, and I really highly enjoy contribution.
Right. Yeah, I see that. Me too. Tell me about it. I live for it. Um, what is that about contribution that it's really, to me, it's almost like a pillar, a foundation for growth, for understanding, for expansion for me. But what does it mean to you to collaborate, to exchange?
It it means to me that what I've been given, the opportunities, the childhood, the qualities, strengths, understandings, learnings, uh, abilities, that it's not just for me, but that
Right.
if I can use some of my gifts to serve others, to serve life, to serve love, and make someone else's journey a little bit lifted up, a little bit
Mm,
easier. If I can share something with
mm.
someone and they gain their own understanding and or their own aha or their own greater appreciation for who they are, then I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I feel more like a success.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I love your definition of success. That's one of my favorites. Contribution, yeah, to growth, especially for the new generation. You mentioned gifts. How did you access your gifts and how do we do it? What is a gift in the first place?
Well, a gift is something we didn't necessarily earn. So the ability to speak is a gift. I didn't earn that; it was given to me.
Mm, mm,
Uh, and so, I think one thing I got from my mother is this love of learning. I mean, she
mm.
taught me to read before I was in nursery school or first grade, and I got to first grade, and I was like, "Oh, I was reading this book 2 years ago," and
Yeah.
so, but I read and I read and I read constantly to
Mm,
this day, and I just
mm.
mailed my mother a book this week. I send her books, and so just this love of learning is a gift, and if
Mm.
I can use that somehow to share something with someone else, all to the good. But it also
Yeah.
deepens. I learn a lot. I read a lot about history, so I get an appreciation for the world that's been created. It didn't just go poof. People worked hard. People bled and
Mm,
sweated and lived and
mm,
died to
mm.
create a lot of the things in this world that we can enjoy.
Wow. It's so true, though. I have heard, you probably have heard about that. The freedom's not free, right? There's a price to
Yes,
pay.
right, right.
Um, yeah, and it's so true. The all kinds of freedoms we can tap into it. We won't go into it now, but it is true. So, what inspired you to write your own book? Talk to me about that journey and to become an author and a writer.
Thank you. Well, there were some seeds planted. I heard Tony Robbins speak a few times, and one time he said, "Your brain isn't designed to make you happy. It's
Mm,
designed to keep you alive, and to do that, it looks for danger. So you part of you is asking, what's wrong, and
that's
and
so true.
so and he said, what's wrong is always available, but what's right is always available too. So want
Mm,
better to focus on what's right." And so I
huh.
was like, oh, okay. So I started thinking about that. And then I was working with some of my coaching clients, and I'm asking them what they're telling themselves in their own head in these moments of hopelessness or helplessness or distress or upsetness. What's the message? I'm not safe, or I'm mad, or this, I feel out of control in some way. And so if we can, especially ahead of time, create something that we can tell ourselves in those moments, like what's actually true. What's actually true is I have grit inside me. I am a loved child of God, of life. And so if we
Mm,
say, okay, that's true, it's always true, I am enough, that's also
mm,
true. And so I'll actually catch myself, and I'll say, oh my gosh, I used to think that. And what's really true is I'm enough. And so my clients were having such great success with that, that I thought, oh, I should write a blog, do. And I was like, I kind of don't quite know where to go with this. So I hired a writing coach, and she helped me, and she said, no, this would be a great book. And so that's the heart of Soul Statements, the book, is how to talk to yourself on the inside, how to remind yourself
mm,
of how resourced and connected you actually are, even when you
mm.
forget.
Wow. I'd say that way. I love the title of your book, that soul statements. It really kind of resonated immediately, even if I intellectually cannot explain exactly what the soul is. There's something that it just energetically resonates, right? Resonates. There's that alignment with my whole being. So talk to me about the soul. What is the soul to you, Corey?
Well, to me, there's this reservoir inside of each of us, this reservoir of knowing, of okayness,
Mm,
of this essential me that was me before I was born,
mhm.
that will still be me after, into whatever's next. And so
Right.
I'm not my thoughts. I'm not necessarily my body. I'm kind of my body right now. I'm in my body.
Right now, yeah.
And so the soul is what carries on. And so the soul um, has better messages for me than my brain, than my surface thinking. And so if I can take time to be more connected, to be still enough to listen to those quiet whispers of spirit,
Mm,
then
yeah.
I can remember a little bit more about who I am, what I am, and why I am. I
Mm,
actually write about in the book how the polar Eskimo, they live above the Arctic Circle, and they had a word. This comes from a book by Barry Lopez, Arctic Dreams. They have a word for the polar bear, which translates as giver of power.
yeah.
And because when a lone Eskimo, they would say Inuit, hunter con- uh, meets a polar bear, there's 1,000 miles of flat sea ice, 360 degrees. There are no trees, there's no holes, there's no rocks to hide behind or climb up of, and so there is no way to not to be somewhere else real quick. And
Right.
so if the person comes away from that encounter, maybe the bear wasn't so interested, maybe you held your ground with your spear and he decided, yeah, maybe not today.
Mm,
You go back to your community, to your family, and now you know a little bit more about what you're made of, because you contacted something in those moments with that bear that you didn't otherwise have contact to. And so you're a little more connected to your own power. So, hence, giver of power. And so we can each do that consciously, taking time to be quiet, to contact our own innermost being. And for
mm,
some people, that's surfing. Other people, it's a hard workout or a stroll or a journaling or sitting on a meditation pillow, gazing at a candle, whatever gets you still enough to
Mm,
hear, what your soul has to say.
mm. Wow, I love all that. I mean, what's not to love about it? Even if we are not able, some of us are not able to kind of embody that, kind of be in touch with the soul as you speak. There's something about it that it feels to me like we all know, we all have, yeah, this contact with the soul at all times, but for some reason we have forgotten, or we just have not given it the time to explore
Mhm.
that realm. So why do you think is that? What gets in the way? Why do so many of us kind of rely on science to understand our existence instead of the soul?
Hmm. Well, I think that science moves our understanding forward. Science has some answers. Science has opened up our world, but it's not the whole thing. We
Mm,
don't want to follow science at the expense of heart, at the expense of just
right,
being human with each other, and
right,
at the expense of love and feeling, and so of slowing down to the pace of a human being. And
right.
so ideally we can um, have a mix of the best of both worlds if possible. I mean, the Dalai Lama was asked one time what he thought of Western civilization, and he said, "Great idea." Like, in other words, we should try it sometime. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You see, I love that. I have appreciation for curiosity. I love being open instead of, closed-minded, or kind of one way of doing life that never resonated with me. So yes, to that, I love his wisdom and your wisdom, Corey. What's not to
Thank
love
you.
about that? So I want to talk to you about something that I read on your website. Before we tap into the book, I have made a
Mhm.
lot of notes. You say masculine and feminine dynamics can be a source of appreciation and excitement once they are understood. Oh, I would love to understand more about these facets of being.
Mhm. Mhm. So, um, I think one of the first things I think about is this person is not they're not defective just because they don't think the way you do, because they don't respond the way you would have if
Mm,
you had experienced what they experienced.
right.
They didn't have your family, your bullies, your school, your friends, your gender always. And so they
True.
just had a different experience. They have, of course, they're going to respond naturally according to their own understandings and what's how they developed. And
Yeah.
I think that, you know, intimacy between people is supported by appreciating differences and not
Mm,
automatically thinking, well, that's wrong because that's not how I think. Uh,
mm,
and it's also uh,
right.
um, maintained, intimacy is maintained by um, mutual respect. And uh, some of the ways that would support that would be the attitude of they weren't drafted to be my partner, they volunteered. And so that should give them some respect. And right
Yeah.
there, like they didn't sign a
Mm.
contract to put up with a bunch of BS from me. So why should they?
Yes.
And so and
Uh,
also the better communication uh, supports intimacy too. Um, people people don't necessarily split up for lack of love.
yeah.
They split up because they don't feel connected or appreciated. Uh,
Yeah.
they could be still have incredible love for this person. They just can't live with them. And so
Right.
the more we can think we versus me, the more we
Yes.
can be curious instead of critical. And
Yeah.
when I'm feeling myself wanting to be critical, that's like a cue for all of us to be, oh, I'm about to say something critical.
Yeah.
Let me get curious, or at least a little curious, as curious as I
Right.
can be right now, and go,
Right.
wow, I'm just wondering why you would think that, or why you would say that, or why you would do that. Just tell me about what happened. And and then another beautiful piece is if you can acknowledge whatever they say, uh, that takes the tension down. That brings good feeling and goodwill up. And what I especially like about acknowledgement is you don't have to agree with anything they just said or did to acknowledge it. You say, I get that this is upsetting to you. You don't have to think they should be upset, but
Mm,
you can acknowledge that they are upset. And
mm,
so people too much get stuck on the fact they have to agree to kind of give anything. And so just allowing that little bit more space, and realizing that, you know, I'm I know what I did or what I failed to do, and I know why. Maybe I was, not wanting to be embarrassed or whatever it was, but that doesn't matter. What matters is what it felt like to be them. And if I
mm,
can
mm,
try
mm.
to learn, oh, what was it like to be you at that time in that event, then I could go, oh, if they say, well, I was um, uh, nervous or guarded or hesitant or whatever, lonely, the
Right.
well, I know what it feels like to be all those things. So right
Mm,
there I can be like, oh, and by the way, I like this person a lot,
yeah.
and I don't want them to feel that because I know what that feels like. And so it helps soften your own heart. And just
Mm,
really quickly, because it ties right in, is if you're struggling to give acknowledgement or to be curious instead of being critical, give acknowledgement to your own heart first.
mm,
And just, you don't
mm,
have to physically put a hand on there. You can just put a virtual hand and go, oh, you know what?
mm,
And think to yourself, my heart doesn't feel good right now.
right.
Okay. You know, just say, I see you, talking to your own heart.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make this okay. And just take a breath, and that will help you get curious. It'll help you offer some acknowledgement. It'll help you be able to listen because you've given yourself some acknowledgement. Too much
Mm,
times arguments are trying to get acknowledgement. It's like, well, give it to
mm,
yourself first, offer it to
mm.
the other, and see where it goes.
Wow. Yeah. Yes, 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 a billion times. Thank you so much for adding that piece there. I was about to say that. Like if you left it unsaid, the last part, I would tap into it because I don't think it's possible, right, to give if we don't have. So yes, it's the first relationship we have is with ourselves. So how do we get there? Because the way you explained this beautiful kind of dance, empathetic communication, caring communication, way of dealing with one another, it comes from a place of knowing oneself, it feels to me, or at least kind of knowing enough for doing enough healing, growth, isn't it, Corey? How,
It
yes, how do we
absolutely
get there?
is. It absolutely is, and that's why I'm such a big fan of stillness.
Mm,
One of my things I do in my daily meditation is I'll attempt to be as still as possible, to still my body and still my thoughts, still my mind,
mm,
and just be. And I'm trying to align with the great stillness. And
right, right.
the I'm not, sitting in front of an altar saying, oh, thank you, oh, for this, and oh, please, for that. I'm just saying, I'm not even using words, but I'm trying to offer my stillness to the great stillness and be in alignment with that. And
Mm, mm,
that's so it's like it's a way of finding Corey. And so then the rest of the day, my job is, now that I found him, is to keep him. And
yes.
so that we have to have this some way to connect to our own center. And then I just wrote down a couple soul statements here when I was waiting for our session to start, and here's the one I liked is I am not my story, and I have self care is soul care, and I am bigger than any complaint, and those are
Mm,
so helpful because oh, you know what, there's a lot in here, and I am bigger than any complaint. And if you ever think that your problems are worse than anyone else's, or your complaints are so important, a wonderful thing to do, I learned this from Tony Robbins, is to go in front of a mirror and just start telling like your 10 biggest complaints to the mirror while
mm.
you're squeezing your nose and saying, well, I feel like, and it sounds so silly and ridiculous. You're like, okay, all right, fine.
Yes. Yeah. So we get the point, yeah, by being like this
Yeah,
with somebody else. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Um, you see, that's the beautiful work of self-knowledge, self-reflection. And I love the silence piece because, yes, I have heard before somebody saying that, it's wonderful when we can say something that's coming from silence and not coming from more words.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm,
of course, reading is a beautiful thing, like you do. I do. I love, I'm very curious about everything, and I'm always reading, meeting new people, and talking about new things. But there's something about, yeah, that cannot replace that silence. You call the great silence. I call the absolute
mm-hmm,
silence or the absolute reality, right? That's one and the same. Yes, yes.
mm-hmm,
So I have a question for you about what you mentioned earlier about the brain, the voices. I call the forces like that's propelling, pushing, driving us, into action. So what are these voices like? Who is speaking right now? Who is having so many thoughts we have throughout the day? They are a lot of times contradictory and paradoxical. So how do you see that? It feels like a multitude of the self of one entity, but it doesn't feel like one. It feels like so many at the same time one. So how do you explain that, Corey?
Sure. Well, we all live with some measure of anxiety or fear, if you will, that just kind of pops up in the form of these thoughts. And one of the great mistakes that we've all done is to let those thoughts go unchallenged. And and so um,
Uh,
and I'll say, you know what? I'll actually think I'm storytelling right now, and what's
mm,
actually true is, I'm okay. Uh, I got this, whatever. And so um, this weather will pass. It isn't about me. And so have these things ready. I mean, my book is full of journal prompts,
yeah.
exercises, meditations, soul statement examples. I mean, there's just so much, and just have things at the ready so that when you have these thoughts that uh, are trying to tell you that you're some less than something, to say, you know what, I'm just going
Uh,
to set that aside, or those are things I used to think, and what's true is. And so basically, a soul statement is based on the premise that truth and goodness is in your center. And so
mm,
just
mm,
go there, pull out something true and real, and say, this is how resourced I am. And and so you're aligning with the more capable you, instead of the self-critical you.
mm. Yes. So that acknowledges alignment. Yeah, this idea of alignment, knowing what we are, the essence of what we are, kind
Mm-hmm.
of teaches us to always go back. It's almost like I have this analogy of going out in the forest. So like our parents just send us in the forest and we just go have fun and probably get lost too because we don't know the forest that well. And then like representing life. And then at some point we needed to kind of remember how to go back home always where our parents are. And that to me would be the, God or whatever we believe it sustains life. That for me is is like the ultimate reality, the true self. So I love that an analogy because it keeps me kind of very grounded. And of course, I do a lot of exploration of the subconscious and the unconscious mind, which is kind of kind of ground a lot of people would rather not go into the unconscious mind, trying to understand that. That's something that I'm very interested these days for some reason. That is the work of Carl Jung. He really did a beautiful job by putting himself in that position or even getting lost there. But he just came, reported what he had found. And to me, it's just precious information because I have been very much interested in what's the essence of life, which is the ground that's pretty much like Buddhists say, empty. And then the Vedantic people, which is basically, I'm a student of Vedanta, so it's more like fullness. Everything is happening in God. God is everything. Everything is sacred. So that's a beautiful way of seeing too. But then the mind, which as an instrument of navigation of this reality, keeps us sort of confused a lot of times, especially within our emotions. And one of the things that I really, really didn't want to lose within this journey of getting to make this the connection between emptiness, fullness, this reality that we come from. That's basically let's say, it sustains experience. So it's not an experience. Pretty much, we don't find anything there. So, but coming into the world of manifestation, so I feel like it's very important for us to have a map, of the psyche of our minds. And I didn't want to lose the feeling part though, because with Vedanta, a lot of the teachers they have lost. Some of spiritual teachers they lose contact with the heart, the emotional heart, and then now they don't love really deeply because it's not important. But for me it is very important, not just as a woman. I think it comes from that mother too, the nurturing side of women that we that's just so beautiful. I think would be a shame if we lost that part of us. So how do you bring together these parts too, the part of us that want to be always centered, in this stillness, in the great stillness, as you call it, and even, wow, and just live there. Some of us want to be there forever. And the other part that's, is taking a chance of, of loving deeply and losing the people we love, or, one way or another. So talk to me about those two realms and how they come
Yeah.
together.
Well, firstly, I'm so in agreement with you that returning to the heart will always um, align us in a good way. It will. If you just keep going back to your heart, you'll
Mm,
still you'll always be going back to a good place.
yeah.
And I think part of our discontent, if you will, just for an
Yeah.
all-encompassing term, is
Yeah.
is is a sense or a false belief of that we're not connected to God. And
Mm,
because
mhm.
we look around and we go, uh, you know, there
Yeah.
aren't I supposed to be a little spark of the divine? Well, where is that? And so that's when these other thinking comes in, and the more we depend on our intuition and our heart, the
Mm,
more we're like, no, I'm a love child of God. And God is my home. God is where I'm going back to,
mm,
and we're not separate. It's just that's where faith comes in sometimes. And so um, and and I just think time cultivating our spirit is never lost. And you 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 want to address, pay attention to, honor your soul and the impulses of your soul,
mm,
things that move you to the good. I guess it's like when you get like a really powerful soul statement, you'll you'll feel it. You'll feel your body will feel more solid. You might feel
mm,
your cells vibrate with a yes, and
mm,
your bones are more heavy. You're like, okay, this is true. This is mine. and I can remember to say this and feel it. That's the important part, to feel it
Mm,
whenever I need to, whenever I want to. And, I'm going to broadcast on my own frequency, and, um, and I just am trusting that I'm going to act as if God is real,
yeah.
because I'll be happier if for no other reason. So,
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for mentioning the heart as a place that, if we always go back to the heart, the Hawaiian tradition, some of the teachers here, they kind of break it down into the mind, the heart, and the gut. Like they believe that the gut, that's where God speaks to us through the gut, and we'll always know what's true if we go back to that. The heart, we can get lost. They do feel like it's emotions, so we can, it's not a stable place. The mind's not a stable place, never stable grounds, but the gut is. That's something that I'm exploring with them now. But going back to soul statements, there's one that I really connected with. I mean, there are so many wonderful ones that resonated true to me. But speaking of emotions and feelings, there's one that says, my emotions are precious and connected to my power. When my head and my heart are connected, I'm brave and unstoppable. Oh, and you did mention that before about the connection. Yeah, just bringing all parts of us in alignment. And that's why I have sacred geometry, because there's something to do with the circle of life, or something. The soul is a circle, so it kind of, in a way, repeats itself. But what I really love about it is that it contains everything, the light and the dark. So the logical and the illogical, what's real, what's not real, the visible, the invisible, all these dualistic, kind of interpretations of the mind. It's within that circle. That makes up the human experience, right, Corey? Because we wouldn't be able to have this experience here right now in a body, if we are not composed, whole already, and complete to be able to experience everything. Does it make sense to you? Do you see it from those lenses as well?
oh, absolutely. And one of the most powerful um, things we can do is that if there's a part of our body that's feeling especially grounded and powerful, like we'll say, our navel or our gut, like that,
Yeah.
I can feel my power and my groundedness there. I can feel my knowingness there.
Right.
That it's why not close your eyes and do a meditation where you feel like a kind of bond that could be
Mm,
light, it could be just breath, movement, um,
yeah.
jungle vines, whatever you
Yeah.
resonate with. But we'll just say, and you just breathe from one part
Mm,
to another. You're sending that power and that knowingness up, say, from your navel to your heart, and connect the two.
mm,
And you can just go up and down with your whole body,
yeah.
connecting that power to the rest of you, up and down. And so now it's all informed by that
Mm.
center, that most powerful part, and they're all kind of riding the same horse, so to speak.
Mm, yes. So do you see a center like in the body too? I know, the chakras and all. I know some people call the heart as the center, but do, sometimes I just feel like there's no center. Actually, it's not localized. What we are obviously is not localized, especially in the body. It's just flowing through everything. But you do see, you mentioned the heart before, that always goes back to truth, but also now you mentioned the God, something about
Hmm.
being, like the Hawaiians, they believe that this is
Yeah.
where, yeah, this is where God speaks. I mean, that's so fascinating. I didn't know that before. I mean
Well,
that,
and
yeah, yeah,
mhm. Well, in my view, that if our heart can be connected to our navel gut, then
yeah.
the heart is the great communicator. And if it's
Mm,
and if we're having a real connection, a real integration
yeah.
between those two centers, the heart will inform us from even deeper knowing, really at the center. So then the
Ah,
heart
I
is
see.
talking for the gut.
That makes a lot of sense. From a different, I use different language, I guess, because my understanding is that there's just one reality that's ultimately real, and that's the essence. That, let's say, the divine, everything's divine, everything's sacred. So that divinity is running through everything that we perceive as a thing, which is not really a thing. So, from my perspective. So when you speak of that, yes, because through Vedanta we understand that everything is sacred, and then from that the heart opens, and then we allow more. We have this more capability and space, and yeah, space to be compassionate, to be empathetic in the face of darkness. Though when we see injustice and all those things, it's easier in a way to deal with them, because we see the light everywhere anyway. So we kind of go,
Indeed.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And maybe a person's really connected to their throat energy center, and that's where um, their power is most utilized, and they're
mm,
really, that area of their body is really working, and they're a great communicator, and they're using their throat to
yeah,
to interact with the world and make good things happen.
yeah.
And that's all great. And then it may be useful to then have a meditation where you have this open light column, this breath, um, communication between the navel and the throat through the heart. So
Ah,
it's all of
yeah.
it coming into play. So the throat is even more informed from the heart, from the navel.
Oh, I love that too. Yes, that's why we see some amazing, I mean, incredibly beautiful speakers, right? Corey, communicators, that they I mean, they do it through songwriting, sometimes a lot of poetry, and they, of course, books. They write beautiful things, and they talk about beautiful things.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah. That I see what you're saying. So it's a work, it's a practice, isn't it? As in your book, there's a lot of practices, and I want to mention some of them. I love the meditations, and you have different kinds: the inner movement meditation, just being meditation, so many others, the personal journaling exercises. And then you have something that I really like. You call it spiritual push-ups. I never heard it that way. It's
Yeah.
like gratitude.
I
I
just
love
kept
that.
coining terms as I'm writing. I'm, spirit vows, spiritual push-ups, on and on.
I love that. And you mentioned gratitude as being
Yeah.
a spiritual
Yeah.
push-up. Mm,
Oh, and indeed. So when I'm feeling um, um, off, I'm feeling um, like I'm in danger of having a temper tantrum, maybe, or maybe not quite that far. There's a term, but I can't think of it right now. Um, I'm just feel it's typically when I'm thinking about me, and it's like I
mm,
remember
mm.
last year my girlfriend wanted like
Yeah.
some, I don't know, switch something, some pillows, some
Yeah.
pillow thing she wanted switched all around. And I just
Right.
like, I don't want to do that right now. I am on my track to whatever it was, which was totally unimportant. And I just
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah. And so I just kind of kept going, and I'm like, no, and yeah. And then I got about like 15 steps away, and I'm like, you know what? I know she's been wanting to do this. She's been waiting for me. It's a
Mm,
beautiful request. It's something that
mm,
would really make her happy. It's like
mm,
I have no reason
mm,
why I can't. Um,
mm.
and so I went back, and I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. Let's do this. And whatever it was, we rearranged the pillows. I don't know. And
Yeah.
then I went away. She's happy. I'm feeling fine. And I was thinking about that later, and I was out of sorts because I was thinking about what I wanted, not about this person's beautiful need.
Mm,
And I thought, um, that's when I get out of sorts, is when I forget to be grateful. Like, I am grateful that this person, for the companionship and love of this person, for the respect she gives me. And
right.
it would be fine to help her with some small thing. Of course it is. And
Mm,
so um, I'm fortunate to
mm,
be able to stand on 2 feet and use two arms and do what I can do.
Mm. Yes, yes. You just that's a beautiful reminder for all of us, really, because sometimes we tend to, yeah, you see, it goes back to those voices and those forces inside of us that not knowing how to align them, like you said, with that, that essential ground that we all have. So we got to keep practicing that. It is, I know some of us are better than others. We're committed to the path, and some are not. So we have to kind of dance that dance with others too, kind of pass this on to them. And that's what you're doing. And I really thank you for that, Corey. How do you define love these days? What is love to you?
What is love to me? Um, Love, I can feel filled with love, and
Mm,
it's usually associated with wanting the best for someone else,
yeah.
and or appreciating something about someone,
Yeah.
something good about them, and uh, especially when life is difficult, I can see life's difficult for someone, yet they're holding on to their own goodness and not sinking down to a level of bitterness or lashing out at someone, but they're holding to love and to their. I respect that, and
Yeah.
it's like I can think of my mother, and I just was thinking today about how wonderful it was that she took me on. I was
Mm,
adopted, and
yeah.
she just
Mm,
gave so much, and I'm so appreciative of that. I
mm,
mean, maybe that's. I mean, I'm not trying to put love into too small of a box, but that's what I think of as just appreciation for other people, and maybe I have a love toward the creator that created me, that wow, I get to live. And I have I wrote a section in the book, but I also did a longer talk at a church service last year, talking
wow.
about today is the best day of my life. And the reason it's the best day is because it's not yesterday or any of the yesterdays. It's
Yeah.
not tomorrow or any of the tomorrows. It's because
Mm,
it's now. And I can feel, I can taste, I can smell,
yeah.
and I can move, I can live. That's what makes
Mm,
today the my best day of my life. And so I have a love for the creator, that
mm,
this is a wonderful, amazing
mm,
opportunity to just be here. I think about people that are, you know, in old folks' homes. I remember going to one with my grandparents, and I mean these people, they're like 900 years old and they're confined to a wheelchair, and I'm thinking, what do they have to look forward to? And it's like, oh, you know what? It's enough to just be. And and
mm,
sometimes all you would, what makes your day is for someone to smile at you. and
yeah.
and so it's a real privilege to be here, and I have a love toward the to the creator, that I get to be part of it.
Yes. That's a beautiful answer, very wise one. And we talked about the spiritual push-ups and gratitude, and then you brought appreciation. Is there a difference between those two, gratitude and appreciation, or they are one and the same?
I think gratitude is appreciation for something I'm in receipt of, and
Right.
appreciation is appreciation for something outside of myself. Appreciation for, um, that I have a car to drive, and that there's other beautiful people that get to live
Mm.
their lives, and appreciation for things other people do.
Oh, I see. It doesn't have to be directly or personally connected to us, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be
right.
something that we received. Yes,
Like
I
I can
like that.
appreciate the. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say I can appreciate how beautiful the moon is.
Mm,
So it doesn't have
yeah.
anything to do with me. Yeah,
Mm,
but I can be
mm.
grateful that I have eyes to see the moon.
Oh, I see, Corey. What a beautiful way of, yeah, of perceiving life. It's truly beautiful. I feel the same way. Yeah, the same way. Uh, Absolutely the same way. I remember, like, my emails, I would end with gratitude or in gratitude. And then it kind of changed, naturally changed to appreciation. I started using appreciation like from the last, maybe the past 3 years, it changed. And then now it's kind of more appreciation than gratitude. It might be
Hmm.
for what you said, so it's more expensive, right? It's kind of appreciating just by being here, having this communication. Even it might not get anywhere, we might not no expectations, just for what's here already, right? There's something, it's truly beautiful and open. There's something that gosh, we're almost at the end. I have all these notes here and I had guided questions and I never asked them to you. I know that the guided in one of the guided questions says, "What is the difference between a statement and an affirmation, or soul statement and an
Okay.
affirmation?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one
So
of
a typical affirmation is putting yourself emotionally in a future state, or like I'm saying I'm 10 pounds lighter, or I have this job, or what you're trying to emotionally inhabit that. Whereas a
yeah.
soul statement is connecting you to your resourcefulness that's already within, that it's eternal,
Mm,
it's good, it's like it's unchanging. So
mm,
um in
yeah.
I have my inner peace is always accessible, my happiness is sourced from within, um, my distress is not a forever condition. So those are soul statements, and like I'm always able to access that. It's always true, it's always good, there's always some goodness about me in
Right.
there somewhere.
Right. Right. I see what you're saying. So it is, I love the way you explained that. It just resonated with me. I read this in your book about the unchanging, that unchanging state, the unchanging reality, right? It's always available, always there. Ah, that is
Yes.
so, so true. You said that in a beautiful way somewhere, and I don't know where I made way too many notes here, but the way you said it was just yeah, it was just perfectly aligned of the way I think about the ultimate reality. Basically, I call it pure consciousness because I'm a student of Vedanta, but it's the same thing. We're speaking about the same thing. And then I want to mention also what caught my attention in the book, in your book, was the say no part. You said no can be a positive and empowering word. Say no is part of healthy boundary settings. So this is always resonates with me every time I see that anywhere, because this has been one of my greatest kind of areas to work on, because I have a hard time saying no, and then I ended up saying yes, and then I feel guilty. There was the feeling of guilt, the feeling of resentment. So I'm working very much with that. So thank you for the reminder in your book. And that's another thing that I really liked was the not to do list. I mean, I just love that. I never heard it that way. We have to do lists, but you came up with the not to do. Talk to me for a moment about that, Corey. I love that concept.
Well, I think a lot of our success, if we really want to move our life forward and have our dreams and goals come true, is, we can't do everything. We don't want to spread ourselves so thin we're not effective anywhere. And so we naturally have to make choices. Uh, well, and I could do this or that or that or this, but I have to choose one, at least one at a time. And
Mm,
so the if we say, I mean, and we want to, ideally, when we go into, meeting a friend, we want to have our emotional well full, our gas tank of
mm,
energy topped off or close to it, so that we
yeah.
can have the best time, create the best whatever it's we're going to do together. And so I might have to say no to doing too much earlier in that day so that I can arrive centered and resourced. I had a teacher one time. We're all at our little class, and it's 9 o'clock when it's supposed to start, and we're waiting. And 15 minutes later, he rolls in and he sits down, every, quiet, and we're going to meditate here in a second. And he says, "The student's job is to be on time. The teacher's
Mm,
job is to arrive centered."
yes.
Like, okay.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Oh boy, I won't tell you why, but yes, that truly resonated with me when I saw that. Yeah, I saw that in your book, and I didn't write it down here. I wrote another one. There's I don't know who he is, but Jim uh, Kwik. He said the goal of the news is to make every problem your problem. That was a great.
Yes, Jim Quick.
I mean,
Yeah.
what? Yeah, who is he?
He's someone, Jim Quick, that wrote an amazing book that I can't remember the title of right now. I've heard him speak on podcasts a couple times, and oh, but his I really recommend his book, Jim Quick, Kwik, and good
Yeah.
stuff. He's a deep thinker. I think he might be Japanese American. I'm not sure,
Mhm.
but yeah, a lot of wisdom in his work too.
Yeah.
And he's speaking about really going on an information diet, because if we
Mhm.
have so much input from the news, we'll be
Yes.
all out of sorts in worrying about all sorts of things we have no control over. And
Mhm.
so why make the world's problems our problem when we have no
Wow.
ability to affect it in any way?
Yes, that's it. I hear wisdom there. Yes, it's just creating that also that balance, right? I guess between like the communities here in Hawaii is very much community oriented, and this sometimes can become a little bit of because we are highly influenced by communities, by tribes they call it. So that's it's a little, if not very dangerous in a sense, if we don't discern, if we don't know how to discern as individuals. We might be following doing something just because another 10 people are doing it. So that's
Mhm.
something that I'm very aware of, and I try not to go there. But yeah, I really liked his work. I'll take a look at his work. I didn't know about him, but now thank you. Before we say goodbye for today, Corey, talk to me for a moment about Tantra. I know we didn't talk about that. I know your
Mhm.
work is informed by Tantra, that you have that
It
background.
is. It is very
Yes.
much so. And so for me, Tantra has an essential attitude and also a practice of paying attention to the moment.
Mm,
And so the more deeply you can inhabit present time, the more you're being tantric. And so in the type of tantra that I studied, we do a lot of breath work, solo practices to, as I was talking about before, connecting these various centers in our body, and
right.
with our breath, and also with our breath, feeling where I am. Like I'm inside here, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking over here, but
Yeah.
I'm all of me is in this package, paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to what's in front of me right now. And part of the way we get there, besides breath practices, is to just simply slow down, to
Yeah.
slow down to maybe the pace of the person you're with, and so you can just be more understanding and harmonious together. And
Mm,
one of the
yeah.
tantric soul statements I came up with is, living in wonder is a gift and a joy.
Mm, mm.
Oh,
Yes,
and another one
absolutely it
is,
is.
I just remembered another tantric soul statement is, I have a beloved that dwells within.
Mm, yes. That brings us, yeah, immediately to this moment. I love the wondering. Yeah, there's something to do with creativity. I know the mind kind of takes hold of that and then starts to create, which is pretty much it's almost like the reflection of life itself, isn't it? The creator,
Mhm.
creation, creativity. Thank you so much for your beautiful presence. There are so many things, so many other topics that we could discuss, but please come back another time. I mean, I would love to meet. Sometimes I meet my guests 10 times because we have so many things to talk about. About, we cannot, not enough time to go through everything. But I want to mention your services. Do you meet As a coach, do you meet your clients online and also in person, Corey, or just online?
It's all on the phone or
Oh,
phone or Zoom.
okay. So you do online, not in
Yeah,
person at this time, right? Or groups. You don't host groups
yeah, I
yet.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to mention the websites, corerelationship.com. I will have the link to your book. It's on Amazon. So the link will be here. You're also on Instagram, Facebook, and another Pinterest. Yeah, that's another. I have all of them here. So all the social medias will be on the podcast notes. Do
Yeah.
you have any final thoughts, Corey? Anything that you left unsaid? If you want to read a passage in your book, is there anything
Oh,
that you
well,
want to?
one thought I had is maybe it kind of distills soul statements fairly well is that you can learn to call up the best part of you in a moment. And I came across
Yeah.
something recently which I love, which is the hero and the coward initially feel the same thing. What
Mm,
separates them is what, or defines them is what they do next. And so,
mm,
let's see,
yeah.
soul statement. What
Yeah.
do I have? Um, okay, here's this is from chapter 12, Living in Integrity. Um,
Yeah.
there it starts with a quote by Eckhart Tolle, which is, "You get there by realizing you are already there."
Mm,
As a spark of divine light, who are you to cover up your light and deny it to the world? A soul statement allows you to hold the world and your place in it more lightly, while remaining in touch with your deeper presence and values. The next
mm,
right action is obvious when you're deeply connected to yourself and certain of what you value. You
mm,
maintain your highest values by living them.
yes. Yes. A billion times. To your work, to your expression in this reality, and your contribution to wisdom, timeless wisdom, information in all these people, because you have so many people that you mentioned in your book that are all like dancing in the same kind of round, same ground. We all wanted to pass something or leave something here. It's almost like leaving the fragrance again of timeless wisdom. So thank you for doing that, for being part of that. Um, well, I'll say goodbye for now, but we'll be in touch when the episode is published. I'll be in contact with you. But for now, have a beautiful day where you are. Take good care, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you
Aloha
so
to
much.
you, Corey. Bye for
Aloha.
now.
Mahalo nui.
Oh yeah.